Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Aries EDC. I want to talk to you guys about something that I just brought up in my last video. I talked to you guys about opening my books and creating a knife for certain customers. And I had said in there that I wanted to do stuff that was an already pre-existing model. It would be much better if you reached out, you want a certain model, and then we can customize it going forward. That is much easier for me to do than if we're going to decide to do a complete one-off design, because that's a totally different thing. So if I'm opening my books, I'm asking that you guys pick a design that I already have. If you have other ideas, then we can collaborate, but 9 times out of 10, I'm going to want to pick a model that I already have over collaborating on a brand new design. That's a completely different story and a completely different thing. I'm more than happy to do it and more than happy to come up with really cool ideas, because I've done it, and I have another one that I'm going to be working on come in the beginning of 2024. But I figured I should take some time and go through all the models, and I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I don't want it to drag on, but I have a feeling it might, just because I went through and I have over 20 models to go through. Some of them I'll be quick. Some of them are going to take a little longer to go through. So hold on to your hats, folks. We're going to go. Number one, you know I'm old school. So all of the designs that I've ever done start off as a drawing. Everything starts off as a drawing, and then it ends up turning into what it needs to be. So something like the Thorn. It started off as a drawing, then I take that drawing and I put it into a wood blank. And more on that here in a minute. But so what I'm going to share with you guys are all the wooden blank designs that I have, that I can trace that design onto a piece of steel and then create that blade from that. So let's start at the beginning with the Obsession. So I've shared the story many times, but this is the first design that I ever came up with, and it was the Obsession. And you guys have seen the Obsession. I have one available right now, and that is basically what happens. So the process I've shared with you guys. I draw that onto the steel. I cut the steel, shape the steel, make everything, and then it turns into the final product. So the Obsession, that is the core design, and I don't do it very often just because basically I've been told it's really not a great design and you should probably do something else. Fine. Then I could take the Obsession and do a harpoon. So why not throw a harpoon on it? So I have the Obsession harpoon. I also have the mini Obsession. So it's just basically the same Obsession, but I just shrunk it down, changed the handle shape a little bit, and that's what I came up with. I've made a couple of these. My mother-in-law has one, my daughter has one, and I made one other one with the pink G10, and someone has that one. And they enjoy it very much. Every once in a while, they'll share some photos of it on Instagram. So those are 3 designs, and I would love to be able to have all of these out on the table with you guys, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to leave them in little stacks. So then we come into a group of designs that I went into next. So next up, we had the pedal. The pedal was designed specifically a nice drop point, very utilitarian design that I designed basically for my wife. And she got the first pedal, and then my stepdaughter got the other pedal. And then this is still a very popular model that I carry, very small EDC. I love the design, and it's very, very good for EDC. Might be a little too small for some people, but that is the pedal. And moving up from the pedal is the bloom. So the pedals right now, you see this handle shape. I've changed that handle shape to look more a little bit like this now. So usually when I make a pedal, it does have that little different handle shape. As a matter of fact, I have one right here. So you have the pedal, but I also give it that little squared off in the handle right there compared to what the blank is, and it just gives that handle a little bit more to hold on to, and I enjoy that shape a little bit better. So the pedal, and then a step up from the pedal is the bloom. The bloom was, for me, I like the little drop point design, so you can really get in there. You don't have to tilt too far up to really make those cuts, but you can just make the cut. Nice utilitarian, nice little small EDC blade. Then you guys have seen the Bloom XL. So we went from the pedal, the Bloom, and then the Bloom XL. So we get a little bit bigger and very full handle, but then you have the Bloom XL. Then just going along the theme of the pedal, the Bloom, we have the pistol and the Stigma. And these are larger size blades. These are two of the biggest knives that I really make on a regular basis, not even that regular, but it kind of falls along with the parts of a flower, I guess. You have the pedal, you have the Bloom, you have the pistol, you have the Stigma. If you don't know the parts of the flower, well, there you go. So those are all designs as well. Then we get into the Rockhopper designs. So the Rockhopper designs all have the same rounded handle that the Rockhopper has. So we have the Rockhopper, that nice Wharncliffe design, very popular. I really like that design. And then I just finished that Puffin. So the Puffin goes from a Wharncliffe to more of a sheep's foot blade. So you have the Rockhopper, then you have the Puffin. And then one I haven't really done a lot of is the Puffin 2, where it's not much of a sheep's foot. I kind of push that back, and it's kind of between, it's a modified Wharncliffe, modified sheep's foot type of blade. So, and all of them have the same rounded handle. So all of the handles are basically the same. It's just the blade shapes are a little different. So those are the Rockhopper family of blades, I guess we'll call them. And then we start getting into some of the other ones. Oh, I forgot to share with you, this is sitting next to me, the Bloom Harpoon. So you have the Bloom, and of course I have to do something that has the Harpoon. So it's just the Bloom and the Harpoon, and I need to go back. I noticed I made it a little bit big, and I need to just trim a little bit of that off. But the Bloom Harpoon is very cool. So it's a kind of a one-off on that little, I guess, family of what we do. So then we get into some of the skeletonized stuff. So the skeletonized stuff, I have 4 skeletonized blades now that I do. The Naked Column, very popular. You guys, I just finished the column with the Damascus column, and I put scales on, but normally this shape gets the rounded handle, and it looks like this. That's the Naked Column. So very popular, really cool blade. I really like the way that that looks. And somebody asked me the other day, why the hole in the blade? Why do I put the hole in the blade? Well, it goes into what the regular column is, and I'm going to get into that here in a second, but I'll get back to that story. So I have the Naked Column, I have the Gargoyle, now I have the Mini Gargoyle and the Creep. And these are all skeletonized models, so that I don't do any scales on them. They are completely skeletonized, just like this Naked Column. So they look like that. I make them out of a little bit thicker steel, 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch steel, or 3/16 steel, sorry. 3/4 inch would be way too big. So 1/4 inch steel, 3/16 inch steel. I usually make it about those. So it really gives you something to hold on to when you have the knife in your hand. If it's too skinny and you do skeletonized, it kind of gets lost and you don't really get the grip that you really want. So I have the Naked Column, the Gargoyle, which I'm going to work on making that blade a little bit bigger, the Mini Gargoyle, which I really like the way that that one came out. So hopefully Eric is enjoying that. And then the Creep. And the Creep, I haven't made many of the Creeps. It's a small little neck knife, really, and it's a great little blade when I end up making those. So Those are skeletonized models. So let's talk about the column. The column was one of the first blades that I designed behind the Obsession. And it's a kind of a funky design, a funky handle, but when you get it in your hand, it completely makes sense. I don't know why, but it does. So here's the first one I did. And you can see this is the column, but it has no hole on the blade. And the blade is kind of and it's kind of missing something. So that's why I decided let's make a hole in the blade and see what that looks like. And this is an older one. These are ones I keep in the collection just because they're one of my first blades I made. And they're a little rough, I know, but they work for me. And quite frankly, I'm keeping them, and I keep them for myself. So you can see that one was the first one I had done where I kind of put the hole in the handle, and it kind of changed the whole dynamic of that blade where you have no hole and then the hole. So now you can kind of see why I do the hole in it. And it kind of has that cleaver-esque shape to it anyway. But the handle is very comfortable. It gets right there in your hand, and it's a very comfortable shape to hold on to, even though it looks a little awkward at first. So the column is kind of an outlier where you have the naked column handle shape is a little bit different, and then you have the regular column. I'm probably gonna have to do a regular column again here coming up very soon, but we'll see how that works. Then another one-off is the Cardinal. Sorry, I've been cutting some stuff. So the Cardinal, I haven't made many Cardinals. I've made about 4 of them. And the Cardinal is based off of one of my favorite knives, and that's the Civivi Odium, or the Ferrum Forge Mini Archbishop. And you can kind of see the handle shape and the blade shape where I got that from. Very, very cool design. And the handle takes a lot of work for me because I really shape it really well with all these contours that we have. So we have the Cardinal. Then one I just talked to you about, the Thorn. That's a newer model that I did. I really like the Thorn. I'm really happy with the way that it's coming out. It's funny how things change. Originally, the drawing on the handle looked a little bit different, and it had that little swell in it. But when I put it in the wood, it wasn't comfortable in my hand. It didn't really work, so I decided to just completely get rid of it. And now the Thorn is really, really good. And we'll go back to one that I'm working on right now. Once I get it in my hand, I can really get a good idea of what it's going to be with the thicker material on the handle. And that's why I do the wood, because I like to get it in my hand and I can really feel what that's going to look like and feel like as an actual knife. So that's where the wood kind of comes from. But there you have the Thorn. Another model is the Bud. So it goes along with some of the things that I have. So I have the petal, the bloom, the thorn, the bud, the stigma, the pistil, all kind of parts of a flower. And I don't know where all that came from. It just kind of came to me and I rolled with it. But the Bud is a very good shape. Nice little big drop point. So you can be Skinner, you could be camp knife, it could be any kind of EDC, but I really like the way the Buds have been coming out lately. I've done a handful of them, and each one is unique, and each one is coming out really, really good. Then we could talk about the Yokdo. This really isn't my design. As I've shared that story many times, Tim in Germany sent me this design and gave it to me basically for me to do whatever I wanted with. And I really love the design on this. This is another skeletonized really model, but I got scales coming up. But this is kind of an outliering design that he came up with. I don't really consider it my design, but he has allowed me to make the knives for him. And he's given me my blessing to just do it as I will. So those are kind of the main models that I have. Then we can get into something like the Crow, where normally I'll draw something, then put it into wood, where basically the Crow kind of was created based on the steel that I had, and I actually created it on the steel and then took that blank and ended up making a wood so I can recreate it. So if I ever wanted to make another crow, now I have a wooden blank to make another crow if I seem fit. So it started off as a piece of steel, and I just kind of shaped it how I wanted and drew it out on the steel. And then now I can recreate this knife whenever I want. So the crow was a fun build. Don't know if I'll ever make something like that again. It's a little big for me, but it is something that's a lot of fun. So then the only other things that I really do are kind of the one-off customs where I talk to people and they come up with a design and I kind of play with some designs, like the flamingo. So our buddy Stacy, she helped me design this knife. These are some of her ideas. So basically what this is a mixture of a couple different things. It's a mixture of kind of the Puffin 2, where it kind of has some of that idea, or the Puffin, but adding in that harpoon. So it took some drawing and it took some finagling to get that shape all perfect, but I think it came out really, really good. And I've gotten some really great feedback, people who have wanting me to make another one for themselves. So the flamingo is something that kind of came out, and I have it draw out in wood, so I have to make the wooden blank for it. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, so I can recreate this knife as well. So those are some of the models that if you were to choose from, you could. So that was a lot. I tried to get through this as quickly as possible within a matter of time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. These are kind of the models that I lean on. Some of them are ones that I like to make. Some of them I haven't made enough and I would like to try to get in there, like the Puffin. Another one, oh, I didn't even pull it out. Where is it? Oh no, okay, there it is. So one of the other models that is sitting off to the side that I haven't gotten a real chance to do is the modified bloom. So I have the bloom that's in more of a drop point, and then I also have this design for the bloom that is more Wharncliffe-esque blade. So I have to try that. So that's another one for me to choose from if I decide to do it. So there they all are. I'm going to mix them all up because that's fun to look at. But you guys can pick it. What's your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment, or not. That choice is yours. Thanks for watching, guys.